Hi guys, I'm Caro and this is my last presentation for the month. Guess the state. I'm not in the middle. I'm far from the pack. You won't find me touching the rest of the map. I'm wild and huge with glaciers and beers, but I'm not for the faint. I've got darkness and scares. The biggest state in the US, Alaska, whose flag was designed by a 13-year-old kid, has 3,000 rivers, 100,000 glaciers, and over 3 million lakes.
Hi, Cindy. I'm gonna ask you some questions about Alaska. In general, what's your perspective of Alaska?
When I think of Alaska, I think of cold weather.
Okay. Do you know which country originally owned Alaska?
I believe it was Russia.
Okay. Do you think Alaska is a safe state, speaking about violent crimes, and why?
I think so. I really don't ever hear any big news of crimes, and it seems pretty isolated.
Have you ever been in Alaska?
I have not.
What would you rather live? The Arizona desert or the ice of Alaska?
I like warm weather, so the desert,
So
Arizona.
now let's talk about the state overview and region. Location, northernmost US state bordering Canada and the Arctic Ocean. The major cities are Anchorage, which is the largest, Fairbanks, and Juneau, which is the capital. This city is accessible only by air and sea. Geography and climate. Vast wilderness, mountains, glaciers, tundra, and forest. Climate ranges from maritime in the southeast to Arctic. Includes midnight sun and polar night. Summer 60 Fahrenheit, winter under 30 Fahrenheit. Population is about 700,000 people and 1.7 million kilometers of territory. I'm going to share with you some key historical events about Alaska. Alaska was purchased from Russia for $7.2 million in March 1867. In 1959, Alaska becomes officially the 49th US state. And in the 1890s, gold rushes brought settles, followed by World War II military buildup, which was very important by the time and nowadays. Alaska, which means big land, is both extreme and mysterious. In some areas, there is no night during summer, and winters are so long and dark that could be no sunlight for over 60 days. The most common animals are bears, wolves, moose, salmon, and it's also known by a very good place to see northern lights, which attracts many tourists. It also has a lot of festivals and traditions, like Idarut, which is a famous sleek dog race, Midnight Sun Festival, which celebrates the summer solstice, and it has a lot of native gatherings, food like salmon, halibut, reindeer sausage, wild berries, etc. Folk music, native languages, and traditional crafts because of the indigenous heritage, which is very important nowadays. I'm gonna share some facts you probably didn't know about Alaska. Some communities are accessible only by plane or by boat, especially in winter. Many Alaskans rely on sustenance by hunting, fishing, and gathering. Heating and food can be very expensive, especially in remote areas. It is normal to see moose in backyards. Alaska is home to 200 federally recognized native tribes with strong traditions in art, storytelling, and nature. Events like Iditarod Dog Slide Race celebrate both survival and heritage. Alaska is the largest US state, as I already told you, and is bigger than Texas, California, and Montana altogether. It has more glaciers than any other state, and 5% of Alaska is covered in ice, which is a lot because Alaska is a huge state. It's home to Denali, the tallest mountain in North America, standing at 20,000 feet. Alaska has most coastlines than all other US states combined, over 33,000 miles. And it has extreme light and darkness. As I told you, sometimes in summer you cannot see darkness, and in winter you cannot see light. Some areas can see the northern lights, aurora borealis, up to 200 nights a year, which is a lot. This state is the house to three bear species: black bears, brown grizzly bears, and polar bears. During salmon migration, the salmon run, traffic has been stopped in cities to let the fish cross safely. In some bear areas, people leave their car doors unlocked in case someone needs to jump in for safety. In remote areas, gasoline can cost over $10 per gallon due to delivery challenges. Alaska has no state income tax, and in many areas, there's no tax sales either. More than 130 volcanoes. Many of them are still active. Alaska is one of the most seismically active places in the whole world, with over 20,000 earthquakes every year. It's also the house of the highest percentage of indigenous people in any US state. More than 20 native languages are spoken across the state. The officially state sport is dog mushing, which is racing sleds pulled by dogs. And there's a very funny event called the Wife Carrying Race, where people run through obstacles while carrying their spouse. This here you can see is the Alaska flag, which represents the star. Have you been thinking of moving to Alaska? Well, this is a fact that you might be interested in. Every Alaskan gets paid to live there. Since 1982, residents receive the permanent fund dividend. This is an oil profit money that in 2022 was up to $3,284 per person. But also, there are no roads to the capital, as I told you before. You can drive to Juneau. The state capital is only reachable by plane or by boat. One question that I did in the poll was ice worms, and ice worms actually exist. Yes, tiny worms that live in glaciers, they're real and only survive below freezing. Well, some question that I did was, have you ever been in Alaska? The total of 34 people respond my poll, and just one person have been there. The violent rate in Alaska is 5 times higher than in the rest of the US. Most of the people say they won't live in Alaska. They don't even think about it. Those are the most common answers. And yes, the Alaskan flag was designed by a 13-year-old boy. I choose to present Alaska because I believe it is truly unique and majestic, a place where nature still dominates over human development, from its towering mountains and endless glaciers to its incredible wildlife and rich native cultures. Alaska offers a way of life that's very different from the rest of the world, even different from the rest of the country. It is a state full of extremes: light and dark, cold and warm, isolation and deep community spirit. And that's what makes it most fascinating to me. Has anyone ever visited Alaska? I'd love to hear about your experience. And if you haven't been there, would you like to go someday? Thank you very much for listening and see you next time.